Trust is one of the four dimensions of teamwork. And in this whole model, which I described on a previous video, you can see that the leadership space, which is a whole leadership philosophy I'm teaching you, the leadership space is the environment that a leader creates for their team to operate in. And that's what book 1 is all about. The four dimensions of teamwork are going to be book 2. But before that book comes out, I'm actually going to release a series of videos to teach you all of the details of the four dimensions, not only like what they are, how they work, but the skill sets that go with them, actually. I'm going to give you everything. So that's what these series of videos are all about. All right, so we're going to dig into trust now. All right, let me just erase this real quick, and then we'll get into it. So I want you to think about what trust really is, because I think there's a really powerful insight for you to have as we open up the first of a series here. Okay, so you want to think about what is trust and why, how does trust work? How do you create trust with people, initially and then over time? That's what we want to dig into. And remember, trust is the foundation of all relationships. Think for yourself, what relationship can you really have without trust being present? I mean, you're certainly not going to have a relationship that lasts a long time, that has power, where you can actually, create value together. Trust is so foundational, and there's a reason why, and I want to discover that with you. Okay, so first things first, right? Let's look at what trust is, okay? Where does it come from? How do you develop it? And I think one of the most profound insights I've ever had about trust is that at a very deep, primitive level, trust is ultimately about safety, right? Trust is about safety. So the first thing to understand is that everybody is always asking themselves a question when they meet someone new, when they're interacting with someone, when maybe there's a new project happening, right? Where you're kind of not quite sure if you can trust the person. And that question is, what do you think? Just think about it for a second at a deep primitive level. Do I trust this person? What question are you asking yourself? You're asking yourself, is this other person going to hurt me, or are they going to help me? Right? Can I trust this person? Is this person going to be safe for me to operate with? Not only safe, at a material level, they're not going to do anything to hurt me physically, but emotionally safe. Is it psychologically safe? And as it turns out, and I mentioned this in the previous video, as it turns out, Google did a study about what is the absolute key to teamwork. If there's a secret sauce to teamwork, what is it? And they studied 180 teams over a period of several months, and they came to the conclusion that the secret sauce to a high-performing team is something called psychological safety. Okay? Psychological safety. And people have talked about this quite a lot in business circles. At this point, you might know what it is, but in case you don't know what psychological safety is the experience of a person, is basically an experience that a person has that their reputation is not going to be at risk if they open their mouth in your presence. Okay, it's the experience that they're not going to suffer some kind of emotional or social impact or injury because they interact with you. And you can use this as a simple example. If you're in a meeting, right, and the leader says, "Hey, I want everybody to brainstorm with me. Let's go," and then no one talks. Why not? Why doesn't anybody open their mouth to contribute solutions to a problem or to redefine or analyze something? Why is nobody talking? It's because they don't feel safe. They don't feel psychologically safe. If they say something, they're afraid you're going to make them look stupid. They're afraid you're going to shoot them down. They're afraid you're going to make them feel bad. So they don't want to open their mouth, because why should they? Everybody is always doing a cost-benefit analysis in almost everything we do. It's a pain-pleasure analysis. Why am I going to contribute my thought and take a risk at looking stupid and not know if I'm going to get rewarded or appreciated? I'm not doing it. So a leader, remember the leadership space, the environment around the trust. The leader, to get people to actually collaborate, to contribute their thoughts, to brainstorm, to create trust, the leader's got to make it safe for the other person to take a risk. The leader has to make it safe for the other person to open their mouth. And the way you can do that is to come from the mindset of contribution. What I call in book 1, contribution consciousness, right? The third C, choice, context, contribution. That's how you create your leadership space. The third C is contribution mindset. If you think to yourself as a leader, how can I be a contribution to this other person? How can I shift my attention from what's in it for me to what's in it for them? Shift my attention from ego to others so that I want the other person to feel powerful, positive, successful, accomplished, and it's an intention I have. I want the other person to win in my presence. That's a contribution mindset. When you have contribution mindset operating in the background of everything you do with your team, you will create psychological safety for them. And that means they're going to want to open up to you, they're going to want to open up in front of you, and they're going to want to take risks to contribute value. So, the first insight about what is trust and how you create it is the mindset you bring to your teammate about how you want them to experience themselves in front of you, who you are for them, who they are for you. They're valuable. You're a contribution. That creates the experience of safety, and most importantly on a team, psychological safety. That is the key to having people be willing to open up and start engaging in powerful teamwork. That's the first lesson. Let's go to the second video.